Here in this sequence, what's the figure four? Great job by Charlotte.
Look at the position of Asuka's foot. Oh my God.
Breaks.
The figure eight is in.
Figure eight. Is Asuka going to tap out? Oh my God.
Here is your winner by submission, and the new SmackDown Women's Champion, Charlotte Flair.
You know, guys, you would think by now that this company, negatively speaking, cannot shock us or surprise us any more than they have in the past. Yet they keep shocking us and surprising us with their illogical and irrational booking and their stupidity in their creative department. They just don't set the bar, they are the bar when it comes to stupidity and illogical, irrational booking and creativity. Whether you love Charlotte Flair or dislike Charlotte Flair, love Becky Lynch, hate Becky Lynch, love Ronda Rousey, don't like Ronda Rousey, it's all irrelevant because we all can agree that what happened last night to Asuka, we all can agree, if you have any common sense and logic in your dome piece, that Asuka was done dirty last night. And you could argue Asuka's been done dirty since she's gotten to the main roster. But in my estimated wisdom, what happened to Asuka last night is far worse than what happened to Asuka at WrestleMania when she lost her winning streak to the same person, Charlotte. But I told you guys I'm okay with her losing that streak if it leads to something epic for Asuka, and it did not. Not until the end of 2018 when she finally got a championship at TLC. And I said I'm okay with this championship if it leads to something epic for Asuka. But it didn't, because we've seen the recent trend in WWE, the recent trend in this company. When you get a championship, that is a straight automatic ticket to the side of a milk carton because you are no longer seen again. Whether you're a top level star like Brock Lesnar or somebody like R-Truth and Asuka, you're not seen again when you get a championship. Or you get a championship and you're treated like Samoa Joe in the Revival. You don't ever win a match again with the championship. Championships mean nothing in this company anymore. So again, I shouldn't be shocked and surprised by what happened last night, but it is downright criminal what happened to Asuka last night. Criminal to what happened to Naomi last night. And whether you like Carmella or Mandy Rose or not, it is criminal what happened to them. And Sonya Deville, I believe, was supposed to be in that fatal four-way match to determine who goes on to take on Asuka at WrestleMania. So Mandy, Sonya, Carmella, Naomi, and Asuka all done dirty last night, criminally, tragically. And all for what, you ask? Some people think this is gonna help set up the horsewomen's storyline. I could think of a million better ways that you could have protected Asuka and still gotten a strap on Charlotte after Mania to set that up. So I'm not buying that. That's A. C, it might be a title unification. That is straight up bullshit if that's the way you're going about it. B, WWE has already released a statement saying the SmackDown Women's Championship will not be up for grabs at WrestleMania. That is a statement released by WWE. So I can confirm as of now, there is no title unification. That is just a rumor that people are now spreading because they think that's where it may go. But I promise you guys, that is a rumor, not fact. And in fact, WWE has already spoiled that rumor. They said no, Charlotte Flair's title will not be up for grabs, just Ronda's Raw Championship. So if there's going to be a title unification, it ain't going to be at Mania, it ain't going to be anytime soon, unless they change their plans last minute. But their plans have already been last minute, and that leads me to my point of why this was done last night. They didn't even know, guys, before this week started, that triple threat was actually going to be the last match main event. They didn't. They didn't know. Vince, I know how Vince thinks. He didn't know if it could carry its weight. So that's why you weren't really hearing them call that the main event. Since that match has been announced, they haven't really called it the main event. Becky was on interviews and doing appearances saying it's the main event. Charlotte was doing the same. Ronda doing the same. But Seth was doing that too. Brock and Paul Heyman were doing it. Daniel Bryan was in an interview calling his match the main event. Nobody really knew what was the last match. We all assumed it was going to be the Triple Threat Ladies match. But Vince wasn't sold yet. And they finally made the decision early this week and they broke it to the press. And I know what Vince does here. When he doesn't think something can carry its own weight, he overbooks it. As an overbooker myself, I know when to overbook and when not. This Triple Threat match, whether it's in the main event or in the pre-show, did not need another title just to show some bling. And I assure you, that's all this was about, guys. If this is to set up a horsewomen feud in the future, that's fine. If the titles are going to be unified in the future, that's fine. But the initial reason this was done was because Vince wanted more star quality if this was going to be his main event. I don't think Vince is sold that this should be and can be a main event. I think he had other people around him saying this has to be. So Vince is doing it, but he's doing it on his terms. He doesn't care about Asuka. He never did. So he said, let me take Asuka's bling and put that on Charlotte. Even though it's not going to be defended, it's going to look cool in the posters. 2 championships, 3 women. And they're going to collide at Mania in the main event. That's why this was done. And that is stupidity at its finest. You absolutely ruin anything that Asuka had going, which was minimal to begin with, because since she's won the title, guys, it's a true statistic, she's been on TV/pay-per-view a total of 6 times. Now, mind you, she won the strap December 15th, 2018. It's about to be April, and we've only seen her 6 times on TV or pay-per-view. They just kept her off. They had nothing for her. Nothing. And when she was on, you remember that time she got rolled up by Mandy Rose? Yeah, they really treated Asuka like a champion. And here we are, just a couple months after her title win. And very rare, right? It's very rare when you saw her. Sporadic is an understatement. Very rare when you saw Asuka on television. And here we are 2 months later after her title win, and she's already losing it in the middle of a SmackDown. That's where titles change hands nowadays, just in the middle of the shows. They don't even have quality and substance to them anymore. They don't even have the respect to be defended/dropped or won on the highest of platforms, like a big pay-per-view. Now they're just being hot potatoed in the middle of these shows. That's the respect you give the title, and that's surely the respect they're giving Asuka. That's just glorious. What am I even talking about? If you didn't see the show, you heard nothing about it, and you're just watching the Amplified Man's review, you saw the thumbnail, you read the headline of the video. This is no joke. April Fool's Day is not for another 6 days, April 1st. This is the real deal, guys. There was all of a sudden, I can't even say impromptu, it was just out of nowhere. Not even the first segment or the main event last night. Charlotte just comes out of nowhere and says, you all don't think I deserve this WrestleMania match? You're about to see how deserving I am. We cut to commercial. When we come back, Asuka's in the ring, and it's being announced as a... First of all, nobody even knew this was a match between the two, because it was advertised that there was going to be a fatal 4-way for Asuka's championship at WrestleMania. So now we're thinking, okay, this is a weird impromptu match that we've seen already several times since WrestleMania. We've already seen the rematch a couple of times between Charlotte and Asuka. So now you're thinking, okay, we'll see it again. It's a decent match, usually. And then they just announce it's a championship match. And the broadcasters, the commentators are going off the wall. What? This is crazy. How did this happen? And then they just kind of settled into it. And Corey Graves is like, maybe Charlotte just used some of that power she has backstage. Some of that shoulder rubbing from the McMahons. And then it's just business as usual. Within like 30 seconds, it was like this was planned all along. This was promoted. This was marketed. Nobody finds a problem in that because the Amplified Man finds a huge issue in that. There was no explanation for why we were seeing Charlotte getting a title opportunity 12 days before she gets a title opportunity. She was handed the Raw title opportunity, and she was just handed a SmackDown title opportunity. And don't tell me, BC, this plays into her character. She gets handed shit, BC. So it makes sense. It makes you hate her more, BC. It's heel heat, BC. She already had that. You didn't have to throw titles on her. You didn't have to ruin Asuka. You didn't have to take an opportunity from what was probably going to be Naomi. I would have loved to see Naomi and Asuka in you can call it an exhibition. It would have actually been a championship match. But I would have loved to see that as part of the fucking 37 matches we're going to get at WrestleMania. Naomi Asuka, book that shit. That's if we could have concluded it would have been Naomi. Some would have liked to see Carmella. Some would have actually liked to see Mandy Rose. Whatever, man. Whatever floats your boat. But at least seeing Asuka at WrestleMania defending her championship, she deserves that. It's fucking Asuka. It's not like it's Sensational Sherry or Miss Elizabeth. Which, by the way, Sherry back in her day, for those of you that don't know, before she was a manager for the likes of Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels, Macho Man, she was a damn good wrestler. I know we all think of Sensational Sherry as a manager, but I'm getting off track. The point is, this is Asuka. It's one of the best wrestlers in the world. How the fuck are you going to treat her like that, dude? Just to throw a strap on Charlotte and try to get her more heel heat for 12 days from now, WrestleMania? If you didn't get that heat already, then she ain't gonna get it, buddy. So anyway, where the fuck was I? So they announced this match, and there's no explanation. There's just a title match. And Charlotte gets another title match 12 days before she gets another title match. None of this makes sense. I am willing to suspend disbelief and enter the world of professional wrestling's belief world. But you have to make it believable for me. That's all I ask. Make it realistic, and I'll jump into that world. I love it. But this is not believable. It's not realistic. Or at least it shouldn't be in your world. In your dome piece, this should not make sense, and this should not be happening. And it happens all too often in this company. And you get dipshits going, BC, just sit back and relax. It's entertainment. BC, let it play out. It might lead to something cool. You're missing the point. This company doesn't know what direction it's going in. It doesn't know if it's coming or going. It didn't know what it was doing when it threw the title on Asuka. They didn't know what they were doing when they had Asuka tap out Becky Lynch at Rumble. And everybody said this means big things for Asuka, and it meant nothing. They didn't have nothing for her. In fact, they had her stay home because they had nothing for her. With the championship and a tap out victory over Becky. If that's the case, you should have just had Becky Lynch pass out at the Royal Rumble. I said that from day one. And again, I ended up being correct as I always am, it seems. They had nothing. They never have anything planned. It's so minute to minute. And it shows in their booking and in their shows because nothing makes sense. I'm not going to let it slide, especially WrestleMania season. Guys, they advertised a fatal four-way. Not that we wanted to see it necessarily, but that's what you're telling the audience showing up to the arena, and that's what you're showing your viewing audience at home. So that's what we're expecting to see. One of those participants will take on a deserving Asuka title defense at Mania. And they don't even get creative. If that's where Vince wants to go, Charlotte has to walk out of SmackDown with the championship. That's the only way Vince is going to do this. Then at least give me reason. Give me creativity. Put it in, here's a theory. Here's a crazy concept. Put it in a storyline. There was a time, guys, pro wrestling was built on storylines. There's a lost art. There's a lost concept. Now they just do things. They just put titles on people for no reason. They hot potato it every week. There's a new champion. They switch up storylines. They switch up characters. Nia Jax is a face one day. The next week she's a heel. The next week she's a face again. Big Show and Kane have been faces and heels 106 times. They just do things without any explanation anymore. Why? Because they gave up. They stopped putting in the effort to tell us things because it takes too much time and effort. Why tell a story? Let's just show them what we want. Let's just do what we want. Let's not give a reason. Let's not make it believable or realistic. Let's not make it make sense. Fuck that. That makes too much sense. That is my biggest problem here. You want me to just see where this goes, BC, when it didn't make sense from the beginning because they didn't tell a story. Not only did they not tell the story correctly, they didn't even tell a story. We come back from commercial, there's a championship match that nobody knows why, and at the end of the match, there's a new champion. And again, we know the reason. It has nothing to do with a title unification or a horsewomen feud, which both might happen in the future. No doubt. Maybe even at Mania. As of right now, they're saying no title unification. And on top of that, if you want a horsewomen feud, I don't need to have one half of the horsewomen all have championships. Yes, that's a cool visual, but I don't need that shit. I'd rather have Asuka being bumped up to be the dominant superstar she should be. But you want me to see where things lead when they're not doing anything to tell me why we're going in that direction. If you don't see a problem with that, golf clap for you. You can sit back and just enjoy it. Things need to make sense for me and people like me. That's called the amplified unit. The subscribers on this channel, if you're new to this channel, we want things to make sense. We want storylines and we want them told correctly. But at the very least, we want the storyline. We don't want you just doing shit just because you rushed, you panicked, and you realize you fucked up. So to cover your tracks, you have to be in panic mode and you're just rushing shit. I don't even know what else I can possibly... How the fuck does this happen? That was Asuka's title run, guys. Her whole reign from December 15th. 6 appearances on television / pay-per-view. 6. I'm sure the only memorable appearance for you guys was getting beat by Mandy Rose on SmackDown. And then her big pay-per-view match at Fastlane was beating Mandy Rose. The same person that already beat her. So 50-50 booking with Mandy. How is... Asuka went on Twitter after the match and she just put one word, over. I don't know what she means, like my WWE run is over, my title reign is over, any respect that I had from this company is over, they see nothing in me, maybe that's what it means. Naomi just put one word too, welp. Welp. Like, there goes my opportunity. I guess I showed up to work today thinking I was going to get a big shot, and I was told you're not even in a match. Sonya Deville said, hey, I have patience, but basically it's wearing thin. I forgot her whole message, but Sonya Deville's pissed. Mandy Rose left a message. I just, you know, this company doesn't even know what is happening within its own company. That's the problem, guys. We as fans are exposing the issues in this company and why ratings are down, why seats are not being filled, why merchandise sales are down, why all this is down. The fans are exposing it. Meanwhile, the company is, it's almost like internal self-sabotage. The company is just deflating from within. it's killing itself from within. It's dissolving from within. The company has so many issues from within, and instead of trying to solve them, they're constantly jumping to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and they're constantly in panic mode and switching things and changing things and 50-50ing things, and characters are not being developed, superstars are not being created, storylines are not being given, feuds are not being dished out on a level that they should be, and when you package that together, that is why your ratings are not there, your attendance is not there, your merchandise sales are not there. That's why the company is in the shits. But they're making the money because Fox gave them a big TV deal. They're making the money because Saudi Arabia gave them that Big 10 show deal. They're making their money in those areas. What's going to happen when the fans turn their back on this shit? Because it's been happening for the last 7 to 10 years especially. In the last 3 years, don't get me started. If you keep confusing even your casual fans, guys, this company is much more worse than we thought it was at the start of WrestleMania season. Here we are toward the end of WrestleMania season. I think this company got worse. This isn't even a debate. This isn't even, hey, we'll wait to see where we go. This isn't even, hey, if you're a huge Charlotte Flair fan, again, kudos to you, golf clap. This isn't a debate. Asuka was done dirty last night. She's been done dirty since she got to the main roster, and this is just criminally wrong, tragically wrong. This should not be happening. The whole reason to put the strap on Asuka was to have her lose it 12 days before WrestleMania. The answer is no, guys. It was rhetorical. The answer to that is no. The truth is, they never had a plan for Asuka. Same thing they did with R-Truth when they threw him the United States Championship or the Intercontinental Championship. Pick anybody. Finn Balor, Bobby Lashley, the Revival with the Tag Team Championships. Give them the belt, brush them to the side. Hopefully people will just forget about them. And if we do have to put them on TV, we'll make them lose every week, like the Revival, like Samoa Joe, and such. It's sad to watch this. It really is. As a fan for over 30 years, it's sad to see what is happening. Vince McMahon was never like this, guys. Back in the day, storylines made sense. First of all, he gave them the time of day. But storylines made sense. Feuds were epic, man. WrestleMania matches, they were epic. Pay-per-view matches, you had to see them because they were epic. Because Vince knew how to tell a story, and they were done with larger-than-life superstars, or at least characters that were developed, and we wanted to see, we identified with. Titles changed hands in the most epic of ways. I don't even know. I don't know if they even know how to press the reset button. Take a chill for a second and think about what they're doing. But this has gotten bad. You know what I mean? I think in their heads they really thought if we come back from commercial and have this impromptu title match, that's going to be a good type of shocking. That's going to be a good surprise. And if we have Charlotte show up with a championship, people will be more invested in the main event and take it more seriously. There's 2 title holders in this main event. And they don't even think about what they're destroying in the process, like Asuka. Or like the 4 individuals you said were going to get an opportunity. Or the marketing and the promotion that you put in place for those 4 individuals. And that you told Asuka she's going to have a Mania match and defend the title. And then you go on record an hour later after Charlotte wins the match and says, by the way, that title will not be up for grabs at WrestleMania. So she won the title, but a championship will not be defended at WrestleMania. So Charlotte gets everything here. Charlotte gets the SmackDown championship. She doesn't have to defend it / lose it at Mania. And she has a shot at the Raw championship. And again, this is all done without winning 1 match. Before last night, she did not win 1 match in all of 2019. I would not be surprised if Vince McMahon has Charlotte Flair walk out of MetLife Stadium WrestleMania with both belts. Somehow Vince says last second, we're going to unify them. And Charlotte wins it. Charlotte wins the Raw and the SmackDown. Wouldn't that be funny? As of right now, they said no title unification, guys. WWE has issued a statement saying only the Raw title. But at this point, it looks like Vince is going to give Charlotte the world. Literally, when he's gone from this earth, he might not give the company to Stephanie and Shane and Triple H. He may give it to Charlotte Flair at this point. I'm just going to end it there. I've said everything I needed to say, guys. Asuka lost a match last night via the figure 8 leg lock to Charlotte Flair in a match that nobody knows why it happened. Nobody knows what... Nobody knows. Let's continue on with the rest of SmackDown for March 26, 2019. So you guys want to know the sad part in all this? Aside from all that bullshit with the SmackDown Women's Championship, and Asuka straight out being screwed over. Aside from that, SmackDown was actually good last night. Aside from Raw, what Raw doesn't have, SmackDown actually has some semblance of storylines. Something that I said, and I'll say until I see drastic change, WWE forgot or just doesn't care anymore to make storylines, but SmackDown is able to give us 2 heading into WrestleMania, and 2 is better than nothing. So even though you have a card of 37 matches when it's all said and done, at least we have 2 storylines. Miz and Shane McMahon, Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan. And they really did awesome last night. These are 2 storylines that have been beautiful from the beginning. And last night they just continued. It's almost like they can do no wrong with those 2. But aside from that bullshit with the SmackDown Women's Championship, guys, SmackDown would have honestly been fucking good. It goes to what I've said for the longest time. They just cannot put together a dynamite show from top to bottom, start to finish, beginning to end. It's like they're incapable of doing that for the past several years. SmackDown started off with the New Day opening the show, and we've all heard the rumblings that they're contemplating quitting WWE in protest for Kofi. Well, Vince McMahon interrupts them before they can get anything else out, and before Vince McMahon can get a word out, Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan interrupt Vince McMahon. And Daniel Bryan had one of the funniest... This is a quote, guys. Daniel Bryan is up at the rampway, and he's telling Vince McMahon, if the New Day wants to quit, let them quit. They're nothing but a stale novelty act. An act that you created, and you, Mr. McMahon, can create an even better novelty act. Just bring up 3 NXT superstars, call them Fresh Afternoon, New Day, and now we have Fresh Afternoon, and have them throw waffles in the crowd instead of pancakes. It would be even better and even more wilder. I just got a kick out of that, man. 3 NXT call-ups, call them Fresh Afternoon, and have them throw waffles instead of pancakes. And boom, there's your new novelty act. Everybody will love it. T-shirts, merchandise, you name it. Daniel Bryan, man, no matter what character he's portraying, the guy is straight gold. Vince McMahon, this sets up a little argument between Bryan and the New Day. Vince McMahon tells everyone, shut up! Like only Vince can do. And he tells Kofi, your opportunities are done. You're not getting into Mania anymore on your own merit. Your opportunities, there will be no more. But he says, I do want to see if Big E and Xavier actually really do have your back the way they say they do. And Vince McMahon announces a tag team gauntlet match for later in the night. Shinsuke and Rusev will be in this match, The Bar, Gallows and Anderson, the Usos, Daniel Bryan and Rowan. It's virtually impossible, right? But we've seen thus far that when the New Day, Kofi Kingston more specifically, has his back up against the corner, he's willing to come out swinging and trailblazing. And that's what Kofi Kingston has done from day one. Now, can Big E and Xavier do it? I love this twist in the storyline. Let's put the focal point on the other 2 members of New Day and see if they can catapult Kofi into that spot. I loved it. And I'll go over the other stuff of SmackDown, but I'll just put the beginning of SmackDown, which was that, and I'll mesh it with the end of SmackDown, the actual main event, which was the gauntlet match. And in this gauntlet match, New Day took out Gallows and Anderson first. This was only like a 2-minute match, so this shows you what Vince McMahon feels about Gallows and Anderson. He puts zero stock in them, about as much stock as he puts into Asuka. Gallows and Anderson out in 2 minutes. The next match was against Rusev and Shinsuke. New Day was able to take them out in about 10 minutes, but Rusev and Shinsuke were taken care of. Number 3 was The Bar. This was another roughly 10-minute match, actually, and this ended in a roll-up. Sheamus ended up getting rolled up by Big E, and they were the third team to be eliminated. So far we have Gallows and Anderson eliminated, Shinsuke and Rusev was eliminated, and The Bar. Now afterwards, this is where The Bar beat down on Big E and Xavier. Big E more than anyone. They actually put Big E through a table. So even though The Bar lost, they did the dirty deed for Vince McMahon. They took out the New Day, beat the hell out of them. And this brought out I believe this was the Usos, correct? The Usos came out after the beating, so Big E was worse for wear. Xavier couldn't even get to his feet, let alone try to help Big E. And the Usos are staring down, and you could see there's this look in their eyes like, nah, we ain't doing it like this. They grab the mic and they talk about all the wars that they've had with the New Day. And I love this, man. This whole storyline is beautiful. Everybody else, all the other superstars, Kofi Kingston is watching back on the Tron, on the fucking television set, whatever the fuck they have. They're all watching, and you can tell they're invested. The crowd is hot, too, by the way. The crowd was in this from minute one. So that's really good to see when you can captivate a crowd like that. And the Usos were like, after all the wars we went through, it ain't going down like this. And we know that Kofi has done everything he needed to do. And we know that you guys are warriors and have done and will continue to do everything you need to do. So, New Day, good luck, Us. We forfeit. And the Usos forfeited the match. And they walked away. The crowd is popping at this point because everyone knows what this means. There's only one team left. If they can muster any energy, then they could actually have a shot at doing this. Backstage, right when they forfeited, Usos forfeited, Daniel Bryan is flipping out, man. He puts his foot through one of the television sets back there. Literally just knocks the whole television set out. Rowan is throwing chairs at cameramen and anything in the room, anybody. Daniel Bryan is throwing chairs at Eric Rowan just because he's throwing it anywhere too. Rowan's getting swung with chairs. They're flipping out, man. We cut the commercial, we come back. Daniel Bryan is irate, Rowan is irate, and we have our last tag match in the gauntlet match. This match went a little bit lengthy too, at least 8 to 10 minutes. That's at least, maybe even more. And when this was all said and done, the New Day was able to defeat Daniel Bryan and Eric Rowan via countout. It was beautifully done. You save face for the champion Daniel Bryan. You want to make something of Eric Rowan. You don't want him to be just another big clown in your company, which is what Vince McMahon seems to do with these big guys. So they have him go over the table. They flip over a commentary table, so Eric Rowan is basically caved in. Daniel Bryan has been taken out a minute before, and it's a countout. The whole crowd is counting with the ref. Big E is beaten to smithereens, man. This guy can't even stand up. Xavier's trying to hug him, protect him. They're basically counting with the ref, but they have no energy to actually do it. They're only holding up by the ropes. So it looks like they've been in a 24-hour war, which basically you can say they have in the gauntlet match. The referee's counting, the crowd is counting. You're waiting for Rowan to bounce out from the table, but he never does. The ref counts 10. The crowd goes ballistic. New Day wins the match. Kofi comes running out. The celebration is on. You get goosebumps, man, because the story was told beautifully. WWE finally got something right in a story. And you can't even give them all the credit. This happened organically from the first gauntlet match a couple months ago before Elimination Chamber. And then what Kofi Kingston was able to do in the Elimination Chamber. But then you do have to give the old man credit, because he played this off brilliantly. He made himself the evil villain, the one wearing the black hat, the bad guy, the boogeyman. Everyone hated him. What are you doing this for? Does race have anything to do with it because he's done everything else? Everything was played beautifully. And the ultimate payoff is Kofi is going to WrestleMania. Man, it was an awesome moment, you know what I mean? As a wrestling fan, that's all we ask for in pro wrestling. Give us a dynamite storyline with people we care about and give us the ultimate payoff at a big pay-per-view. This one, never more epic than WrestleMania. So when things go right in this company, it's a thing of beauty. This was a thing of beauty. That's my main event. Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan. That's my main event. The only other one I could think of would be Miz and Shane McMahon. For other people, that's like a starter match. For me, that's that's another one of those matches that actually has an epic storyline behind it. In a company that has not shown us that they can create these good storylines anymore, for somehow they've created two at the same time, and it's all been on the blue brand. But that was how SmackDown ended, man. New Day celebrating. Kofi is going into WrestleMania. That we know of. There's still one SmackDown left. Vince McMahon could try to come up with something, but it's so late now. That's why the story is told beautifully, guys. Every part of it is told beautifully. It's gotten to almost what Gene Okerlund used to call the 11th hour. We're almost at the event. It's almost to the point where Vince can no longer throw any more obstacles. He has to promote a main event now, or 1/3 of a main event. So it's almost like Vince is going to be backed in the corner and have to have Kofi in this match. So next week, I expect Vince to be pissed off. I just love it, guys. Everything about it. Now, I want to switch gears to the match that I also am looking forward to at WrestleMania. The only other match that actually has a storyline. I'm losing my voice in this shit. And that's the Miz and Shane McMahon. Because the filler of this show last night, there was a couple of other segments. Miz went out to do a promo, and I love this. Miz is talking about how he doesn't just want to take out Shane McMahon. He wants to take him out kind of in his backyard, his type of match. He wants it falls count anywhere. So Shane McMahon comes out to answer the challenge, and he comes out with 2 layers of security. The first layer is actual security, which is, in all honesty, just local independent talent, but it's supposed to be security. And then the second layer is Sanity, Shelton Benjamin, I think that was it. Maybe there was another superstar, but it's actually WWE superstars. And Shane McMahon is perfect, brilliant in his promo, because he's playing this like sadistic guy who's seen the light, or at least has seen the other side, and he enjoys being the bad guy. And he said, the only regret I have from turning on you, Miz, is not beating up your father even more, because I loved it. He said, I went back to that night and I watched it from every angle. I've watched it so many times, and I enjoy it every time even more so. So I love this bad guy character that Shane is playing. It's truly villain status. And then you have that heat status while you're bringing up the layers of security. That's drawing natural heat to you now, because now you're saying, yeah, you're talking a big game, but you're playing the role of the pussy. You're playing the role of the baby that doesn't want combat. You're talking, but you have all these men in front of you. So Miz says, all right, I'm going to take what'd Shane say, guys? The biggest mistake your father made was you when he impregnated your mother, is what Shane said. And that flipped out Miz. So Miz said, I don't care how many bodies are between us. Miz went out, took out all of the security, and then the superstars started getting taken out before Sanity said, nah, fuck that, man. There's 3 of us and Shelton Benjamin. And they took out the Miz. They brought him back toward ringside. Shane McMahon's looking on like, yeah, what are you doing? Just dismantle this motherfucker. There's 4 of you now and 1 of him. But Miz somehow gets the upper hand. Miz is flying into the crowd. Miz is brawling Sanity through the crowd. This was great. The more Miz got the upper hand, Shane McMahon started backing up, sidetracking to the back area, because he was like, shit, if Miz gets the upper hand, I ain't going to be his latest victim. But Miz did. Miz finally ended up taking out everybody and made his way up the rampway. Shane was long gone at that point. I love this, man. It's like here's a concept. They actually put thought into this. like Kofi, man, Shane McMahon threw all of these obstacles in the form of human beings, and Miz was able to overcome all the obstacles, all of the human beings, because what he was fighting for is much more. He's much more passionate and amplified than anything those security guards are fighting for, or anything Sanity or Shelton Benjamin was fighting for. And that's why I believe the Miz was able to take everyone out and make his way up the rampway. Totally believable. Is he going to take out 10 human beings? I hear you. I do. But beggars can't be choosers, man. When we get storylines like this, man, I'm willing to jump a little bit more or suspend a little bit more of the disbelief and enter the WWE world of belief a little bit more when you look at the alternative on Raw, which has given us jack shit. So I love that, man. The Kofi Kingston, Daniel Bryan, Miz, Shane McMahon segments, just done brilliantly. Honestly, if it wasn't for that damn Charlotte and Asuka fiasco bullshit, this SmackDown would have been fucking good. Maybe even really good. The only other thing that happened last night, guys, how about the Iconics? They announced that they're officially part of a tag team fatal 4-way championship match for the women's championships, tag straps, at Mania. That's not a big announcement because if you listen to this channel faithfully, I already said that a month ago. When Beth Phoenix re-debuted, or we saw that Beth Phoenix was getting back into action, I told you guys this is where Vince is going to go, a fatal 4-way. Sasha Bailey taking on the Iconics, taking on Nia and Tamina, taking on Beth Phoenix and Natalya, and I don't know how Nia and Tamina would get another shot. They just lost at Fastlane. Then they interfered 2 weeks in a row, and that's an automatic ticket to a championship match, and that's what I mean. Championships are fucking irrelevant. The only other thing here was Kurt Angle versus AJ Styles. This was a decent match if your audience is senior citizens in a box of turtles. If your audience is senior citizens and turtles, this was a damn good match. The pace was slow as fuck. You had Randy Orton go in there. Randy Orton RKO'd AJ Styles. I like this. If Randy Orton was just going to leave afterwards. But no. They have Kurt Angle do a weak-ass, and I mean weak-ass, Angle slam. Barely got it off. And the crowd was like, what? Okay, now what? And that was it. That was what? Like, Randy Orton got a weak-ass Angle slam. He rolls out like he just got fucking mauled by 7 individuals outside of a mall somewhere. I mean, he's trying to sell it, but it was weak. So that's why everyone was kind of like, that took out Randy Orton? If that took out Orton, what the hell is AJ Styles? AJ Styles just has to poke him and Orton's going to be tapping out or pinned at WrestleMania. It was weak, guys. There was no finish to the match. It was just, that was it. Randy Orton kind of came in, RKO'd AJ Styles. Then Randy Orton So Randy Orton looked dominant, looked like a cerebral assassin, apex predator, whatever you want to call him. He looked as such, strong, badass. And then a second later, Angle's just like, get the fuck out of my ring. I understand you want to have a good time moment for Angle. It's his farewell tour, but not at the expense of Orton. And that's the best you got for Orton and Styles? You got one SmackDown left. You better make it count for those two. Because that's a match that's probably going to be damn good at WrestleMania. Styles and Orton. I just wish they would have started this much sooner and much more in an epic way. Whatever. That's it. That's SmackDown, right? The gauntlet match really took up the majority, and the news really was stolen. The thunder was stolen from Kofi Kingston's moment, and New Day as a whole, their moment was stolen. The headlines are all with the stupidity, the nonsensical bullshit from the SmackDown Women's Championship. Asuka, Charlotte, and such. So, that's a shame for New Day, because that should have been the main talking point today. But again, it would have been a damn good show if not for the SmackDown Women's Championship, and that's it. That's all she wrote, guys. We talk about the road to WrestleMania. There's nothing left. The next Raw and SmackDown, those are the go-home shows. You thought I was hard on Raw yesterday in that review. You guys think I was hard on that? That ain't nothing. Wait till next week if they decide to bring redundant bullshit. That'll be the most amplified video I've ever done in the 2 years I've had this channel. 2 years plus. I assure you. And SmackDown will not get a mulligan. Just because they've been doing okay does not mean they're going to get any fucking slack next week. These are go-home shows. You fucking bring it or you get the fuck out. Ooh, that was a good distance on that one. Much love and respect, guys. Thank you for joining me for the SmackDown review and reaction video for SmackDown Tuesday, March 26, 2019. I cannot wait to do this next week for those go-home shows. I really do hope it's all positive, guys. I hope they bring dynamite shows. I really do, man. I'm not going to hold my breath on it, but I really do hope so. Obviously, stay subscribed and notified to the channel. You never know when I'm going to pump out an impromptu video, and because we're close to WrestleMania, I'm most likely going to, maybe several times this week. And this weekend, what is it? Are we up to 12 or 13, guys? We're going up to 12, I think. Number 12 on the podcast. So this week, BC's Pro Wrestling Amplified podcast, episode number 12. What? Time flies when you're having fun. The Amplified, man. Love and respect, guys. You know it. Holla at your boy. Peace, cause he's out for now. Anger! Check you. Anger, no!